listening to Oilersnation Radio, a member of the Nation network of podcasts and delivered by DoorDash. 1 hour of straight hockey talk with Dan, Rick, Tyler, and Bag Milk starts now.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, people of Earth. How are you? Oilersnation Radio episode 182. Bag Milk here. Tyler, Dan, Rick. We are here to break down the last week in Edmonton Oilers land. Tyler's rolling over. Dan's headphones are too hot.
Too hot.
Too hot. Tyler's counting. That was mine.
Is that one? Is that better?
That was mine.
Louder?
No, that's mine.
Oh.
Yep. Go down.
That's me. Yeah.
There you go.
Perfect. We did it. Yay. Everyone else good?
I'm good. Thank you.
We're good. Tyler,
That's my fault because I should have done that before the show, but Tyler was doing it to do fast so that I can get out of here. What the hell is going on?
Ooh, good timing. That was perfect.
You're welcome.
Speaking of the English.
Thank you. Oilersnation Radio episode 182. Bag Milk here. The whole crew's here. The whole gang's here. As we do every week, we're going to start off this week's podcast with a delicious debate for our friends at Oodle Noodle. Mr. Yaremchuk down at the end of the table. We did not prep for today's podcast.
Nope.
What do you got for us?
The delicious debate today is, what's a more realistic trade for the Oilers to make? Getting a goalie or getting a defenseman?
I'll jump in first. I don't think they're getting a goalie. I am fortunate enough to have a certain insider's phone number. I called him and asked him, and he says he does not think the Oilers are going to trade for a goalie. So I'm going to buy what Frank Saravalli is selling, pretending that this is buy and sell from
the DFO rundown.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say I am selling that they will get a new goaltender before the deadline. So I'm going to say defenseman. Tyler, how does that strike you?
I'm in the same boat as you, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have conversations with insiders, unlike you.
You literally see him every day of your life.
I do. I think a D-man's more realistic. The market for goaltending is interesting. There's 5 goalies on Frank's trade targets list.
Who we got?
Fleury at the top, not happening.
Nope.
Korpisalo sucks.
Boom.
Don't want it.
Holtby, Forsberg,
Yep.
Gorgiev.
Nope.
Gorgiev, I'm not touching.
Why not?
I don't think he's the answer. I think he's too inconsistent, and
Fair.
I think there's other stuff there.
Okay.
So Holtby or Forsberg are the 2 targets.
Could be.
I'm not sure if Holtby ends up moving because Dallas is in a playoff hunt.
Fine.
And I don't think the Oilers view Anton Forsberg as a clear-cut upgrade on what they have. So
That's
there you
fair.
go. That's the goaltending market dried up. The D-man market, I think, is a little bit more interesting. I think it's a bit of a buyer's market as well. Prices might come down. I think there's an opportunity there for the Oilers to get a defenseman, which actually might help their goaltending in a way.
2 votes for defenseman from Bag Milk and Tyler. Nation Dan, you're up next.
That was a really good explanation, Tyler. And I'm just going to say
Thanks.
it in another way. Statistically, there are more defensemen available in the league because there's more defensemen in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier to get a
Math.
defenseman. Math.
Good
Advanced
Check, can we
analytics.
confirm that?
Yeah, so there would be 650 players in the NHL.
Check the
and
math.
only
Pulling out the calculator.
64.
only 64 of them are goalies. Okay, wait. So
You
there's
could do 6 times 32.
so there's 32 teams.
Yes.
So 32 teams times how many players on the roster? 23? Okay. So that means there's 736 players in the NHL. Minus 64 of them, which are goalies.
7 times 32 and 2 times 32.
There is
Those are the
192 active defensemen in the NHL currently.
Assuming a 6.
There you go. That's what I was going to say. He just beat me.
How many defensemen?
192 active. If you, as Bag Milk pointed out correctly, if everybody's running a 6 defenseman.
And 193
No,
if you
because
count
they'll
Brent
have at
Seabrook.
least one in their 23, so it's 7 on a roster. You're
What
only
about just
playing
like-
6, so except for us,
So
we
add
play
another
7.
32 to that then.
Yeah, so I'd say it's 7 defensemen times 32 teams.
But
and
then-
then it's 2 goalies times 32 teams.
And that's the thing too, is that a goalie, a defenseman, you can add a depth defenseman from an AHL team, and they may be able to help you out down the line. If you're adding an AHL goaltender, that goalie isn't in your lineup, so the transaction just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, this is going a weird way,
I
but
want to continue down this route. Tyler, what other math you got going on over there on that laptop?
How many
here?
centermen do you have?
Yep. 4 times.
damn it, I closed my calculator. So
we're going off scripts here.
if
so
we
might
get
as
rid
well-
of
There is
healthy
no script.
Yeah, and I was
there's
actually
no
going to
script
upload.
today.
I was going to upload this segment to a YouTube video.
This would be good.
Oh, this would be
Okay,
perfect.
sure. So 32 teams times 4 centermen a team is. Oh, I hit the wrong button.
128.
There you go.
That's a joke. That's an absolute joke is what it is.
Rick is just doesn't even use a calculator. I've asked my watch for answers. Rick's just no math, you guys. Come on.
Yeah, 128.
So there's your answer, delicious debate. Math.
Rick, what do you think? Is it more likely to get a defenseman or a
I
goalie?
prefer a goaltender, but I understand how they're not going to make a move for a goalie that's better than what we have right now when they're both playing, or at least all three of them are playing in the top of their game. So it's most likely we make a move for a defense.
Then I'm going to switch the topic a
Okay.
little bit. This week, Daniel Nugent-Bowman at The Athletic had an interview with Ken Holland where he said he's comfortable with the 3 goaltenders that he has. Are you comfortable with the 3 goaltenders we have? I am not.
Compared to what? Like, I mean,
Describe comfortable.
yeah.
That you can get on a nightly basis, average NHL goaltending.
I'm not comfortable. In
If
that.
Stu was up here, I'd feel better.
Yeah.
That's where I would go with it. If it's Stuart Skinner and Mikko Koskinen, I'm a little bit more comfortable. Am I? Yeah, it's not. I'm not talking into
There
the
you go.
microphone.
There you go.
There.
That's better.
So can I answer a question again?
yeah, sure.
If it's Stuart Skinner and Mikko Koskinen, then I'm confident.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Mikko's been playing good, and I'm sure that's changing it a little bit. I also think I think in the organization, they believe if they get Mike Smith going before the playoffs, they'll get a few good weeks out of him. And really, that's all you need. The guy's got to be good for what, a month and a half?
But like there's 26 games left.
And they're not a lock for the
We're
playoffs,
still
which is
trying to get
interesting.
Schmitty up and running. That's scary to me.
Well,
That's
they've
why
had a ton of injury problems with him. He's just not willing to get off his bet yet.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's the problem. Like, at what point do you fold the cards and say, all right, well, the bet isn't paying? The field's not paying on this one.
I think he's too conservative and too rigid to make a bit of a gutsy move. So he's going to stick with this and kind of just live or die by the sword.
I don't like it.
Not that I'm like condoning such behavior.
I don't like it, and I don't think it'll work.
But we don't have but we don't have an option. And
but
I think that's the way he goes, unfortunately.
Well, and that's, I think,
The first move is Stu to come up. Like if one goalie starts to slip, especially if it's Schmitty starts to slip, Stu's up here.
he has continued to slip, though. That's what I don't understand, because I don't understand why Skinner's not here right now.
Because I think they still want to play those two, and then it's better. It's
I
best
want
for
to
Skinner
win
to.
hockey games.
That's no, and I get that. But if you're not going to use Skinner, then what's the point of having him here? You might as well be playing down there.
And then I understand.
And
that
then
too.
there
Again,
should be there's no like quarantine or anything for that. I think he had COVID, so he's got 180 days of no testing or something silly like that. So coming up and down isn't going to be an issue for him, and that's kind of where they're sitting at, I believe.
I just think that's such a lazy thing to be worried about. It's just you have objectively, opinions aside, looking straight at the numbers, the goalie with the best stats is in Bakersfield.
Makes no sense.
0.
That's what was the inspiration behind my article last week. It is just like, are you trying to win right now? And if that answer was truly 100% yes, if Ken Holland really believed the Oilers' window to win cups was now, Stuart Skinner would be between the pipes. But there's clearly other factors at play there. He clearly doesn't want to send one of the two veterans down. He clearly is still valuing building something towards the future, because he said in the piece with Nugent-Bowman, he's not going to trade the first round pick. That's where we're at.
It makes no sense, man. Like this team has proven in that little trip there outside the last 2 games, those first 3 games, they proved they can sit there and play with anybody in this league. If they had the consistent goaltending behind them. And at that point, he should have said, okay, now you guys have proven to me that you guys can do this. It's now up to me to go get a better goaltender than what we have right now.
And
there's
just
yet
like
to do it.
last week on the podcast, we were talking about how fucking annoying that loss in Tampa was, because they outplayed the defending champs, but they couldn't get a save.
And I mean, you also have to let's look at the playoff picture here. If the playoffs started today, Edmonton plays the LA Kings in the first round. You're going to tell me that with a competent goalie, the Oilers can't beat the LA Kings in a 7-game series, right? Like there's a legitimate chance here, I believe, to go on a run. I think in a 7-game series against the Calgary Flames, you can go out, you can beat them.
If this team is healthy and they're missing some significant pieces, right? But if they're healthy, at least healthy-ish, and you can get league average goaltending, this team will be fine.
Yes.
Well, and I think the element that's missing from that topic and that discussion too, and people like myself that are saying, well, yeah, but they've had these goalies and they haven't had success in the playoffs, is that it's Jay Woodcroft, not Dave Tippett.
Yeah.
And so Dave Tippett's default to go back to Mike Smith every time against the Chicago Blackhawks and then the Winnipeg Jets is not going to be there. And you hope that Woodcroft and his staff has a little bit better.
They also have a better team in front of those goaltenders right now, both
fair.
from the top 12 forwards to the top 6 defensemen. I know some people may say last year's D were a little bit better, but it is what it is. In general, the top 18 skaters this year better than last year.
Yeah. And I do think like their top 9, if healthy, is really, really good. And that's, again, why my answer is kind of a defenseman too, is if you had one more left-handed defenseman to this blue line, or if you could swap Barry for a better righty, all of a sudden, or not even just a more defensively responsible righty.
Same contract, just get someone who can play a little more defense.
Don't they need a right-handed defenseman that can come into the lineup though at any time? Like you mentioned that, Tyler, when we were off air, that with Barry going down, the right side gets weak.
They have one. It just, I don't know if he's ready yet. They just re-signed him yesterday, the day before.
Oh, Vinny Desharnais?
Yeah. I think, he's
not ready.
No, and I'm not saying he is. I think this time next year, you might, be wanting to see him in the lineup a little bit more, but he's not ready right now, but they do have one or two in the,
I'm just thinking of like a Slater Cuckoo on the right side, right? Like a guy that you feel comfortable enough to put him in an NHL playoff game and not be out of his depth.
Dude, I think at this point with Barry down, you have to just look at your veterans and go, okay, so one of you guys have to go over to the other side. And Mr. Keith, you've done this for a long, long, long time.
Or it's the Cowboy, if he's healthy.
No, because I don't want the Cowboy in the lineup. I'd be playing the
but he could be, if he's your seventh D-man and his versatility as a lefty or a righty, that's interesting.
So you're taking Willie out and putting Russell.
William Lagesson could not play another game for this team. I wouldn't really care.
I want to know more about your take on that.
Listen to this today.
I want to dig into Tyler's take on William Lagesson because you really got after him before we started recording.
What does he do well?
Skates pretty well.
Meh. Like maybe a passing grade.
Would you prefer to have Slater Cuckoo over William Lagesson?
Yeah, I think so. I think Cuckoo actually moves the puck a little bit better than Lagesson.
We're also talking about a guy who can play both sides.
I would play Niemelainen ahead of Lagesson, not even close. I think I would probably prefer Philip Broberg in the lineup over William Lagesson because at least you're getting some upside there. At least you're getting a guy who can make a difference once in a while. The only time William Lagesson makes a difference is in a negative way. Can you really argue against that? When was the last time you watched a play and you were like, damn.
Get Struds on the phone.
I think play, Willie Legs.
Alan Walsh on line one right now.
You've got to be tempered, yes.
That's because we have Alan. That's an absolute joke.
Stop hitting that shit.
Alan can see this, Tyler. Alan could hear this.
He's so upset when he listens today.
But like, is Lagesson, you say he does nothing positive. That's a pretty strong statement.
The best he does is neutral.
And is that not okay?
Not.
Isn't that what we've been expecting of Russell all this time? And
Russell will block a big shot. Yeah. Russell actually skates well.
Yeah.
There's upside with Russell. It's like when people get mad at Bouchard for making mistakes, and it's like you live with 2 or 3 Bouchard turnover and him making a bad read every game because you're also getting 4 really good breakout passes and a couple of solid point shots. Yeah. You're not getting that with William Lagesson, and that's just my problem with him. At least with Niemelainen. And they haven't gotten to this point yet where they have to pick or choose. I would certainly hope they're picking Marcus Niemelainen over him.
They are.
At least you're getting the physicality. He moves a little bit better. He moves the puck a little bit better. You're getting something out of him. And with Lagesson, I don't think he's even a 7th defenseman in the NHL.
And Niemelainen just saw the assignment and took it.
Yeah, 100%.
He knew that coming into this team, there was no physicality really left in the lineup.
It's just natural to his game.
It is.
If he was trying to do this, you'd see him make little mistakes here and there, but it's natural for him.
But I feel like he knew exactly what he needed to do to endear himself to us, which was just go out and hit bodies. Because we haven't had that on our defense since Jason Smith. Like a guy that just goes out there and hurts people. And that's it.
But he doesn't.
And play solid defense.
But he just hits, when he hits hard. It's not like he's out there hitting vicious. It's just, it just turns into a wall and it's like shakes your innards.
I love that. So I don't think that's even a debate really at this point between him and Lagesson.
And I don't even think it's a debate inside the company either.
Or this company.
No, God, no.
We'll see.
Open that
debate is raging on outside right now.
Open that door. I guarantee you they're all on the same page.
Waz just hit somebody like Niemelainen did to show them
probably Jay to wake him up.
How effective he is.
Actually, someone brought up there like how often he hits. Wasn't there a stat about how often he's hitting?
Oh, he is at like 5 a game. That was a couple of games ago though.
He's pretty close to that, if not
4 or 5.
Hitting being the most subjective statistic of them all.
Yeah, it's generally a joke.
It's a home team stat.
I like to put those into the wrap up on after games, and it's the same thing with giveaways. I find those to be hilarious, how they get marked or not marked or counted or not counted.
There was one game against Tampa Bay, I think it was, where it took us like 8 minutes to get a shot.
Yeah.
And it was Hyman who got a legit shot on net.
And they didn't count it.
You look up and it's still 0. So all those stats
down in the stats.
All those stats are.
So I know it's subjective, but for the sake of this, Marcus Niemelainen, first on the Oilers, 19.78 hits per 60 minutes. basically a hit every 3 minutes he's on the ice. Second on the Oilers is Cassian at 12.66. So a full 7 hits per 60 minutes behind the lead.
Well, and the big thing for him is that his hits don't put him out of position.
Yeah,
He's not finding
natural.
himself
amongst NHLers who have played at least 10 games so far this season, Niemelainen ranks 6th in hits per 60.
Who you got in the top there?
Ryan Reeves,
Of course.
Sure.
Makes sense.
Liam O'Brien in Arizona, who also leads the league in PIMS.
Does.
Mason Geertsen.
And he's tied for
That's
fighting
not a real
majors, too.
person.
Geertsen, good local boy. Played in a charity tournament with him once.
From or is he still in New Jersey?
Yeah, he's in Jersey. Reese Johnson in Chicago and Michael Pizzetta in Montreal. Mason Geertsen's the guy who I always use as the example whenever people are like, like NHLers, the worst NHLers are way better than you can even imagine. Geertsen's that example. When I was on the ice with him, it was just stupid the shit he could do.
Oh.
And he was probably going like 40%. And it would just be like quick little flick, backhand pass over everyone onto someone's tape. And you're just like, what the fuck?
I don't
I even
want
had that kind of experience. He was just on TV the other day during the broadcast. Mark Pissick. I used to play shinny with him. What did I say?
Pistrick.
Oh yeah, Mark Fistrick. That's so I
Yeah.
used to play shinny with him out at Nemeo at the base. And he was the same kind of thing where he's just like, fuck me. This guy's like, he did not get any respect at the NHL level, but he is way better in all our shitheads.
Yeah.
Well, I have to laugh and I have to bring up the memory for you, Bag Milk, but the pond hockey tournament, not this most recent one, but the first one we did.
Yeah.
The former NHLer Aaron Volpatti, who most people remember as a very good face puncher, not necessarily for his hands.
Yeah.
Man, did he make the Oilers Nation team look pedestrian.
When you play against a NHLer or a former NHLer, it is very clear that they did not get there by winning a scratch ticket.
Yep.
No.
When he pulled out the helmet with the old team's logo on it.
Yeah,
you're like,
pulled out, Aaron Volpatti pulled out his fucking Caps gear and he's all like decked out in Caps gear as we're lining up to play 3-on-3 shinny
half
like we
of our
did.
team didn't even have their own
12 out of
seats.
10 hungover and this is what I'm facing. Like,
Yep.
not going to work.
Just circling back to the conversation about defensemen.
The delicious debate, if you will.
Yeah. These are the D-men Frank has on his list. Ben Sherratt is the top.
Too expensive.
Too expensive. Jacob Chikrin is the next one.
Do it.
Dream.
Do it.
Did Friedman not say today that Tippett wasn't a big Chikrin guy?
He's gone. Don't matter now. He's
Right?
retired.
Interesting.
I think you move, if you have to trade a Philip Broberg to get a guy who's established, do it.
That's fine.
So Broberg the first and Yamamoto, but they take Barry in the deal too. Do you do that?
Yup.
Man, that is
Can I
a
turn
big package
Yamamoto
to go.
into?
That might be what you need. There's talk that if Florida does it, it would be like Spencer Knight going the other way.
Can you turn Yamamoto into a prospect? Like maybe somebody in
Lavoie?
juniors?
If it was Lavoie, Broberg in the first and they're taking Barry, fuck, I'd do it.
Holloway.
Oh, Holloway's close to untouchable for me.
Yeah, I
like
don't know
Broberg was untouchable until I saw Niemelainen. And now you're thinking next year you have one lefty spot open with Keith and Nurse. Like, okay, you can have Niemelainen play
What if
that.
Keith retires?
Then you need to go get a veteran. You can't run 2 rookies anyways. You have one spot for a rookie lefty next year. It can be Niemelainen or Broberg. That's why I'm like, Broberg is movable.
I think
If it's in a deal for Jacob Chikrin.
well, that's what I
In
mean. Like
that
you're not
deal,
moving
yeah.
Broberg if it's not an established piece coming back
Yeah.
that's got it's the ability to like keep him for a minute.
Yeah.
This is not a rental.
So who's the next established piece after Chikrin on that list?
Yeah, what we got?
So next on the list is Mark Giordano.
No.
Not happening.
Very established.
Too
He's
established, you
probably
could
going to go
argue.
to Calgary, I would imagine. I could see him ending up back there.
I think Calgary kind of closed the door on him.
They're going to have too many, like, unless he comes in for like a really small salary.
I think it'll be one of those deals like we saw with David Savard last year where like Seattle keeps half and then like Buffalo keeps half and some contender's going to
Why
get Giordano
can't
for
we
$1.5.
do that shit?
We could. Well,
because you have a rigid GM.
He's not creative.
Yeah.
He's never
Like,
done that.
again,
He didn't
we-
do that in Detroit.
We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Chris Gear wrote a really good piece over at dailyfaceoff.com about getting third-party teams to manage some of the cap in these situations. The Oilers never do that shit. Drives me crazy.
next on the list is John Klingberg. Not realistic.
No, not really.
Too expensive.
And he's a righty and he's offensive, right? You kind of want someone in that more shutdown role. Number 14 is Damon Severson in Jersey. Again, I don't think does he play defense well enough?
We brought 2 defensemen from that damn team already that we've had all these.
And it really should have been Andy Green the whole time.
How high expectations are. And yeah, it took a while for Lars to come and feigner that.
Can we trade for Adam Larson?
Probably not, right? Next on the list is Jeff Petri. Probably not happening.
I mean, he's super expensive too at this point.
Nick Leddy at 31. I have time for it if you can get him cheap enough. and if the cost is low, right? Like if you get,
is that who you're looking at? If Keith goes and retires, say, and then you have that your veteran guy you're kind of bringing in.
Well, I'm getting Letty he's a UFA, pending UFA, so he's a rental.
He's older than Keith, isn't he?
He's only 30,
What?
and I know Letty, and he's been on like 4 long playoff runs.
Yeah.
Letty would be interesting if Detroit keeps half and the cost is like a third. You know, and then that's your Dmitry Kulikov out of this year, but probably a little bit better. Next, they have, this is my absolute favorite target. I talked about this in my YouTube video. Calvin DeHaan's got to be the guy.
Saw him last night. He can play left or right, so you're covered, right? So if he comes in and you don't move out Barry, but DeHaan's maybe his partner, you're going Nurse Bouchard, you're going Keith Ceci, and then you're running DeHaan and Barry. And if someone on the right side gets hurt, DeHaan can just flip over he can play the right side fine. And then you bring in Niemelainen. And actually, so in my YouTube video I did about this, I reached out to NHL Sid to get his take on some of this because, he's like wicked smart. Wicked smat.
Among the 7 Chicago defensemen who have played at least 50 minutes against top opposition, DeHaan ranks first in DFF percentage, whatever that is, and goal share. I know what goal share is. DeHaan only allows 2.7 chances on entries against per 60 minutes. The league average is 3.4, so he's above average. Edmonton's average is 3.6. So he'd come in, he'd help them defend off the rush. He can go up against hard competition. Maybe you play him with Ceci in like an all shutdown pair. DeHaan would be a fantastic target, but he's a pending UFA. Will Holland give up the second rounder next year? Or, I mean, the interesting part with making a move with Chicago right now is that in the Keith deal, you're either giving up your second or the third, right? So do you go to Chicago and say, hey, you can have the other pick, whatever one it is. You're going to own the second and the third now, no matter what. And we'll give you Samurikov as well. And you get, is that too much to give for a pure rental in DeHaan? Or is Samurikov enough of you don't need him, you don't think you'll ever need him, get rid of him?
I don't think that Holland would do it just because he doesn't seem interested in trading for rentals.
But the problem with trading for guys with term right now is that you don't have any money in the offseason to work with it.
Oh, I agree with you. I'm just basing
Devil's
my
advocate.
thoughts on what
Yeah.
Ken Holland seems to say in pressers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think you just won't spend a first on. You won't spend
Which is
too
fine, I
much
agree with.
on the rental. So I think if you get them cheap enough in that type of a deal that you're talking right there, I think you.
Samurikov,
It might be.
and you do the conditional pick, which is either going to be the second or the third that Chicago was going to get anyways, right? And then you just attach like a conditional 5th next year where, if this doesn't happen or if he doesn't re-sign, like whatever, you throw in a little extra value.
It's so silly to me for teams to be worried about wanting term or rental. I just look at it and you're trying to win a Stanley Cup, aren't you, every year? And so,
Yeah, but you don't want to like sell out the next year.
yeah, but bringing in a Calvin DeHaan shows you
It's not going to guarantee you a cup though.
but it shows you what that kind of a player could do in your roster. And then maybe you want to re-sign him, right? Like we're talking about Evander Kane as a perfect example, right? There's a guy that's come in here and shown what he can do. Are we going to re-sign them or is somebody else going to grab them? I like that better than bringing in a guy that then you're stuck with. Look how that worked out with us with AA.
I actually love that point you made. Think about that. If you bring in DeHaan, let's say you're going to bring in DeHaan, but you go, hey, Chicago, we need him to do an extension first because we need that asset. And it comes here and it doesn't work. You're stuck with him, like you said. Whereas a UFA, this is a free trial. This is like getting to test drive a car for a few months.
I love those 7-day free trials,
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Get in, use the free trial. And if you like him, you have cap space to sign him. If he prices himself out of your range, it's because he came in and played so well for you and the trade is worth it. Or if you don't want to sign him, great, you're not attached to him. Let him go. Use the money you were going to spend on him somewhere else in free agency.
So here's what the Oilers have to trade if you're talking about draft picks.
Okay.
First round pick, this is 2022 now I'm walking through. You got your first rounder. The second rounder is tied up in the Keith trade, right? Same with that third. So the details are there. So it depends on how that goes. There is no 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Next year, all their picks, all 7. So.
And 2023 is a loaded draft. And I think teams are more inclined to want picks from next year's draft than this year's.
Take my 23 first round pick. What are you going to give me for it?
But that's the debate, right? Does Holland value that pick too, right?
Because it's
Holland
a
may
super
not be
deep draft.
GM by then.
Well, but I don't.
What do you think would take that to happen?
Missing the playoffs this year?
Yeah.
missing the playoffs?
We talked about it to start. That bet on
especially
the goaltending
especially if it's your goaltenders.
But what if you go out in 4 at the start of the playoffs?
I still think it should be the same thing.
Depends how you go out.
If you get swept,
If it was like Winnipeg last year,
repeat from
that's
last year.
different.
Yeah, I
think that was
3 OT losses is different.
Yeah, that was.
What
weird.
about if you lose like you did 2 years ago against the Blackhawks, where it's just
That was fucking.
Yeah, I'm
bummer,
looking
man.
at because that was on bad
it's all
goaltending.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay. Interesting.
What do you think that would take, Tyler?
What?
Cleaning house?
To get rid of Holland.
Missing the playoffs.
what
Is that
about
the only way?
what about a first round exit?
I think it should. I don't think it would.
A la Chicago, not a la Winnipeg.
You got to remember too, he has 2 more years left on this deal at 5 schmil a year.
Schmil total.
Is Daryl Cates? I know he's never been shy to do this in the past, but that is if they make the playoffs and lose out again.
There's a limit to what Daryl Cates will pay in terms of staff. That
I think you give him 1 more year still.
How angry was he at that meeting there 2 months ago?
Well, that is a
something.
good question. That's a good question.
Because I promise you, $10 million. As far as I understand, $10 million isn't a lot to that guy.
No,
It's
you
not, but
promised
like
us.
ultimately, you don't.
It's a business.
You don't want to be pissing away $10 million on a guy who's just sitting there.
If they make the playoffs and lose in round 1 in game 5 or 6, Holland's not going anywhere.
Go sell some of the damn pictures in his $750 million mansion or something like that. Bang, done. It's over.
Wouldn't that be the ultimate flex? Hey, if Daryl just like walks an employee down and is like, see that right there?
Just take one.
That's your severance package.
Yeah, that's your severance package, buddy.
Retire now.
And then he just looks at Holland and goes, go get me a fucking goalie.
Oh, I see.
So right now, as we're recording, March 4th, Friday, Oilers are in 3rd place in the Pacific Division, 1 point behind Los Angeles, 7 points behind Calgary. One thing that I brought this up on the Beatcast last night, you look at these standings, man, you see the value of losing in overtime.
Yeah.
Because the Oilers only have 2 fewer wins than the Flames, but they're 7 points behind because the Flames they've lost a bunch in OT.
Yep. Loser points.
It's going to be tight, man. This Pacific Division race and just the wild card in general.
Yeah.
She's stressful.
Yeah. The nice part for the Oilers, though, like you talk about the value of overtime losses. If Edmonton manages to finish in a tie with LA, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they were to get that 1 more win and LA picks up an extra OT win, Edmonton at least holds the tiebreaker. Right now, they hold the tiebreaker over LA and Vegas, even though they're a point back of LA.
And Calgary.
Do we think LA holds this position though?
No.
I didn't think they would be here this far into the
that's
season.
exactly kind of my thought.
No
And they're
idea.
going to add, right? Like you look at that team, they're in a position where they could probably really strike at the deadline.
This is normally like the beginning of February, though, right?
Yeah.
Who did they add in this offseason? Dano
and Arvidsson. And they got Trevor Moore as well from Toronto, from that organization. Their whole second line, which has been a great line for them, has been manufactured through acquisitions, which is insane.
and Todd McClellan leading the ship.
Todd McClellan leading the ship. And they're getting a big bounce back from Jonathan Quick. Like, let's not overlook that either.
Sure.
If Jonathan Quick were to fall off a cliff, play-wise, not literally.
So goaltending, hey, it's
goaltending.
pretty important, is it?
Well, again, and I know everybody wants to fluff the Flames right now, but their goaltending is so much better than what we're getting. Look at the stats, just black and white. The Flames have scored 186 goals. The Oilers have scored 182. So it's fairly similar.
Fucking plus. Oh, the goal
Fairly
differential's
similar.
ridiculous.
But the goal differential, goals against, Calgary's only given up 130, whereas the Oilers have given up 175. Yes, there's defense in there, but man, it's goaltending.
It's goaltending.
They've got a Vezina winner. Basically, it's his award to lose, as far as my opinion.
Markstrom?
Yeah.
Wow, it's just
Shesterkin.
Unfortunately, is going to either win the Hart
but either way,
or the Vezina.
Markstrom's going to be a finalist.
So,
but you're right, Bag Milk, and that's what the Flames were missing last year with Markstrom. Markstrom just wasn't as good as he has been this year for them, and we were mocking them for it. So
Stupid Calgary.
Stupid Calgary's done.
Stupid goalies.
By the way, speaking of Calgary, we are going down. It's been a minute.
When?
March 26th.
Sounds like fun.
That is a Saturday night. We are packing a bus full of nation citizens. We are making our way down the old QE2. Away we go. It's been a minute since we have been to Calgary. The last one was in January of 2020. So it's been more than 2 years since we've been to Calgary.
Man,
go
what a
to
time that
Backside Tours. Just go to the Backside Tours website. It'll be right there on the front page.
You bringing your own chopsticks?
No. I'm going to go through a box of chopsticks.
I dig it.
Yeah. This one, like, I've got so much energy pent up that I haven't been anywhere.
That's fair.
Singapore Sam's going to have a rough one.
That's fine.
We're going to have to come up with some bus hydration rules going down, because I feel like by Red Deer, we're going to be...
Well, that was my problem the last time. By the time we got to Red Deer, I had been drinking too much on the way. And then we got down
there was the accident that like made us like double.
No, that was a couple of times ago.
Yeah.
But then remember, Rick, we were down at the restaurant where we were in Red Deer, and we decided to take a bunch of tequila shots.
Yep.
Oh, I love tequila.
Yeah, I do too. Tea time waits for no man.
No.
But that was the problem, that by the time I get to Calgary, I'm seeing out of one eye. I couldn't even fucking work the elevator.
6:30, maybe 5:30, something like that.
Anyway, drink responsibly on the bus. We're down there.
It's a very steep walk up to the top. So,
you don't want to lose your balance. We've lost many good men up onto that trip to the.
Coombe bit it like 3 rows down.
Yes.
Celebrating a goal.
Yes.
Bang, 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 down the rows in front of him.
Stairs too.
Happens to the best of us. I, allegedly, in my opinion, had a certain handsome journalist on my back as I was walking down the stairs, and we almost took a little tumble as well.
Classic.
Just
happens to the best of us.
Sneak into the what's their little special
The
alumni zone. Just tell them you're with bagged milk. You'll get in, no problem.
Hey, the shredded beef sandwiches in there are fantastic. Okay.
Your language though.
Well, whoopsies. Sometimes I'm a sailor. I want to give a shout out to our friends at DoorDash. We just wrapped up the Oodle Noodle Delicious debate. I want to hear from you, ON Radio Podcast, whether you think, now let's be realistic here. Are the Oilers going to trade for a goaltender or a defenseman? Which one is more likely to hit the deadline? I personally think defense, same with the rest of the boys, but I want to know what you think. Again, ON Radio Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Couple of things I want to get to before we jump into Ask the Idiots. I want to talk about last night's game against the Blackhawks. It was a rough loss. Blackhawks are terrible. They have won 5 games in their last 17. 2 of those have come against the Oilers. These are points that are left on the board. I know they managed to get 1, which they didn't deserve really, but you take it. What was everybody's take on last night's game against the Blackhawks? That was a frustrating one for me. I still found myself pissed off about it this morning.
Yeah, it was frustrating to watch. They didn't seem to have any
sloppy.
It wasn't smooth. There was nothing good about it. But I think part of that offense came from the Philadelphia game too. I didn't think they looked all that oiled machine offensively either game, and it kind of like bled into last night's game. And hopefully they can figure this out and deal with it before tomorrow.
I blinked and I thought Dave Tippett was coaching this team again because it just looked like we needed a Chicago goal to wake us up. And
you have to realize that we are down Nuge and Pulia, right?
Yep.
Those are 2,
of course,
relatively top 6 wingers.
And we talked about it all the time. Like when you see guys engage, playing the puck away, playing the puck away from themselves and into the game, that's when you're confident. And this team just has these games. And you're right, Rick, the road trip could play a role in it. That's the end of a long road trip for this team. That could have been a part of it, but it's so exasperating. Bag Milk, you've been ranting about it all day today about that effort, that kind of an effort. And it's just frustrating to keep.
I get what you were saying though, because like they just didn't look Woodcrofty.
They didn't execute. That's
they didn't execute at all.
There's a lack of execution. And
they were just like the first goal. How did what's his name, who's never scored in the history of the world?
Oh, fuck that guy. Yeah.
How did he get so much time and space behind the fucking Oilers defenseman?
Makes no sense.
Second goal. We got people flying the zone early. These are just details.
We got to get the puck off the boards. Like those are hand in hand. I know everyone wants to sit here and say it's all nurse and he just kind of flew the zone, but he was flying, anticipating that puck coming off the boards.
Leo's got to make that. Drysdale's got to make that play.
Yeah,
but they didn't. Who even
execution though, like Rick said.
Yeah. Who stuck out in a positive way for you against Chicago? Anyone?
Koskinen had moments.
Yeah, he looked, but then he makes the big mistake, right?
That Kubalik goal is just,
so then again, like
at least that wasn't a goaltending mistake. It was a mistake by the goaltender handling the puck, but it wasn't like a goalie mistake like we've seen.
It wasn't like he lost his net
pass.
Or what's the acronym, Tyler?
Too though.
RV reverse RVH.
There we go.
It was a perfect shot by Kubalik. You give credit, but the pass was also tremendous.
Oh, that was. I mean, terrible timing for that. I mean, there's obviously never
you
a
would
good
have
time
thought
for that,
that Mikko Koskinen meant to pass it directly to Kubalik.
But that tells me there's some sort of communication error there.
100%.
CC was going off to one spot.
He really didn't have anywhere to go with it. No.
Well, I mean, it's not exactly ideal, but he could have put it up the sort of middle a bit to where CC was and let him deal with the puck. Although that would have left. That's fair because I would have left him out of the net at the point.
Yeah, that was.
Well, who did you like last night against Chicago, Tyler?
McDavid was okay.
Dude, he scored 2 goals.
Just like Duncan Keith's hooks.
Evander Kane was good. Yeah, sorry, that's the one guy.
He won me some money last night too.
Yeah, he scored a couple, and he was, I thought, moving his feet pretty well, getting engaged physically like he does. Vander Kane's probably the one Oiler I'd give like an A grade to. Everyone else is B- or worse.
And that's been the case for Kane this entire time, really. I don't think there's been a game where I've been frustrated with him as much as maybe he hasn't been excellent.
Frustrated only in the fact that he was still probably had some rust on him. And I think he still has rust on him right now.
But you see the effort, and he's engaged in front of the net.
He does other things when he can't score that help the team. And these are things we've looked at other guys to do who have all refused. You know, Luch didn't want to get physical when he couldn't score at that point. We're like, hey, listen, just go out there, bang bodies and do it. No, didn't want to do it. Zach, same thing. Cassian won't.
Well, there's no fans in the crowd.
Yeah. Okay. Now there's fans in the crowd. It's still not doing. I mean, it's frustrating to watch. It's nice to see a guy that utilizes other tools in his toolbox when one's not working.
Nothing is getting my blood pressure up more recently than having to watch this team on a freaking power play.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense.
But it looks so good when Connor went around the net and then took a pass Leon. And for that one goal, I was like, wow, I think you guys may have another play here.
Yeah.
Somehow utilize this swing around. I mean, you're not going to have either defenseman try and chase you back there. And you're Connor, you're going to have all the eyes. They may actually forget about Leon for a half a second again.
It's just like one of those things that right now the Oilers really only have that one pitch. And you see it without Nuge on the bumper side.
Yeah.
It just how much it's affecting things, even though that hadn't been great leading up to this.
Their zone entries are terrible. There was that one where Evander Kane came in and was about to enter the zone and then stopped.
He got stopped and then he's like, so he waited and then
backed up.
And it was just like, just chip it in and go get it. But the problem is, one, they're reluctant to chip it in and go get it. And two, they chip it in. And if there's a forechecker, there's only one.
Yep.
And it's like, well, then the other team just has to ice it. They don't even need to make a pass, right? No. So you need to have two going in there. And I think part of it maybe is that drop back play. But again, most of their successful zone entries are just Connor bringing it in himself. But if you were to eliminate that totally and have leave the D-man back and have all four forwards just going in on a hard forecheck, you would get it. You would force turnovers. You'd get the puck.
Yeah.
That is a good point right there. And it's so often with this team, I find at least, that you don't have God forbid four, but even 3 or 2 guys in motion going in on the power play. Everybody's kind of waiting at that blue line for the next guy to come in.
Well, normally it's Connor because they do that drop back and then one guy brings it in.
All you need to do is stand up at the blue line as a defensive team on Connor, get your stick engaged with his, and it's over.
To be fair, that's most power play entrances right now.
But it's clearly not working for the Oilers right now. What you almost need to do is drop Kane back with McDavid. So you would have Hyman. You have Hyman at the blue line and he keeps the D back because that is the point of that decoy, right? Is you force the D to sit back a little bit. And then you would have the defenseman bringing it up. You could have Draisaitl waiting as a potential quick chip pass. And then if the drop pass goes, have Kane in motion, partially as a decoy, but also if Connor meets any sort of resistance, chip it in and you got fucking Evander Kane going.
Yeah.
Right? You got to do something different because I find myself screaming at the TV because it's just lazy. They're doing the same thing over and over again.
I like your idea, but instead of Kane, I would flip it with Hyman.
Sure.
Because he is a dog on a bone when it comes to
But on the far side of the ice too.
Yeah.
So if you're coming up the right, have him on the far left.
Yeah.
And this way you can, and you don't dump it all the way in either. You dump it into like the hash marks on the sidewall.
Well, that's what I was going to say too. You could just have 2 guys in motion and have a guy bombing it from the red line onto one of those sides. And then you got a McDavid or a Draisaitl going in on that side.
See, I don't like the bomb either. I like that little chip thing that kind of
get the puck wobbling a little bit. Harder for the other D-man to deal with.
That defenseman.
Yeah. But anyways, we're solving the power play here. You're welcome.
Jay Woodcroft, give us a call.
Yeah, I mean, our numbers are available. You can tweet at me. DMs are open.
Just email them a copy of this.
But it's just beyond frustrating.
Super
when
frustrating.
You watch them do the same shit.
Last night was a game where, it went to overtime, but man, just the power play could have ended it.
In the first period.
Yep.
But they didn't. Yes, they got 1. You celebrate it.
Should have got 2.
Huzzah. But man, that was a game when you needed more than 1.
Well, and
the PK is also struggling as well.
Well, and as bad as the power play has been, that kind of bad power play kills your momentum. And we keep seeing that too. This team just, you get excited for a power play, especially because our power play has been so lethal. Now it's killing it the other way.
Other thing that happened last night, give a quick shout out to Cody Ceci. Played his 600th NHL game. Good for you, sir. Tyson Barrie, though, he did leave in the second period, I believe, with an upper body injury. He's going to be out for the next little while. The team has since recalled Philip Broberg. So Philip Broberg is the Grandpa Simpson GIF in and out. Bakersfield. Thoughts on Barrie being out, Tyler?
They don't have a lot of depth on the right side, and that's a concern, right? So now
So what do you do?
You have to flip someone over. So who are you most confident flipping over?
Keith.
Okay, but you move Keith over, and now your left side is William Lagesson or Marcus Niemelainen playing top 4 minutes.
He's playing with Bouchard right now.
I think you flipped the Cowboy.
Move.
He's not healthy.
He's not ready to play.
So that's why I'm a little surprised Cuckoo wasn't brought up.
Yeah, that's fair.
Lagesson?
Fuck me. Guy can barely play the left side.
What, can it get much worse then?
Maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe that's the ticket.
I mean, you don't want to move Niemelainen because you want him there.
Yeah.
And I think because
They
you'd
should've
rather
called
have
up.
Broberg probably play on his side too. Yeah,
or you're going to have Cece and Nurse play 30 minutes. Or sorry, Cece and Bouchard play 30 minutes each.
Might as well.
Yeah, that's right.
That's bad. That's not a good plan.
That's
not
a very
great.
bad plan.
I've heard the Canadians aren't very good though.
No, they're not. Although they beat fucking Calgary yesterday. So
Yeah, they
Well,
did.
they've played themselves out
Calgary's
of the
terrible.
bottom of the
5-1 in their last 6.
Yeah, Marty St. Louis seems to have them kind of turning things around a little bit.
The good thing with an Oilers Habs matchup, and I think it's the
5 o'clock.
Well, yeah, great time.
It's the first time they're going to be inside of a full building again, no?
Yeah.
And that's going to be,
Or whole
that's going to go nuts.
That'll be good / also annoying just for me because I hate when our building is half filled with Habs fans. It annoys me.
Suck.
profit.
Oh, I get it why you sell those tickets, but it's still annoying.
Yep.
The Ole Ole's can get the fuck out of here.
I help my dad sell his tickets just like every year. He wants his season ticket games for the Leafs and Habs gone because he wants to cash in.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, you know?
But
So how did the Oilers beat the Canadians on Saturday?
well, their goaltending's bad. That's what I was going to get at.
Play
Like,
their game.
player game and the goal. Like you look back at that Jets Habs matchup. The Jets did not have Connor Hellebuck at his best.
No.
And the Habs do know how to push the pace offensively as well.
They work hard.
I'm fully expecting a track meet of a hockey game. Pound the over, which probably means the game's going to be 3-1.
Yeah, don't take Tyler's bets these days.
No, do not. Don't even think about it. Anyways, I think it'll be a track meet. I think it'll be high scoring. And if the Oilers, like I just saw Andrew Hammond, who's probably one of the bigger reasons why Montreal's been winning these games. He's on IR. He's out. So you're going to get either,
That's unlucky.
you're either going to get Caden Primo or Sam Montembeault. Like you can torch these guys. Their goalies are terrible.
So shoot.
So I think
We
that's the
also-
lesson is the shoot from the parking lot.
I was just going to say, we
Just
do
like
find a way.
Chicago did yesterday. How many times was Chicago throwing pucks on net from like the bottom of the circle?
Can you blame them with our goalies right
Well,
now?
right? Like,
Yeah.
so do that to Montreal.
Yeah.
Shoot fucking everything and get bodies in front.
I was going to say, if you're going to do that though, you have to be creating chaos in the crease because the game against Philly, perfect example was Kaylor Yamamoto's goal where he got greasy and pumped one in the crease.
Yeah.
The Oilers don't do that nearly enough. So if you're going to shoot from everywhere, I like it. I want to watch it, but create some chaos. That's all. Right? Of course. Next up, I want to give a shout out to our friends at Buster's Pizza. It is time for Ask the Idiots. What are we pointing at?
Squirrels.
2 squirrels.
Oh, I love squirrels.
Just chasing them up the branches.
It's funny
quite
to watch
impressive.
them run through the snowy trees.
Yeah, it was
'cause the
impressive.
snow.
man.
Yeah,
Like, here they
it's-
go again. You're home.
This is some
Look at this
good
fly.
radio.
they
Squirrels
go
are cool.
away.
I want to mark these guys though. Like one blue, one red, and race.
I
them.
like how squirrels have convinced us all because they have a bushy tail and a cute face that they're not very rat-like, but that's just another conversation for another day. Buster's Pizza, they've got a location near you. I promise it's Friday afternoon. You don't want to cook. You've worked enough this week. Check out busterspizza.ca for a location near you. Get yourself some za or a delicious donair. Got it? Good. As always, the boys have not seen these questions for Ask the Idiots yet. You guys have submitted them to me over the last 7 days. I've tried to compile as many of them as I can. Got a lot this week, so if I did not get to you this week, I apologize, but please keep sending those in. I will try to sneak you in as quickly as possible. First question, I'm going to move this one down to the end. I didn't even order these properly. All right, Dan, you're right beside me.
Yes.
What Oilers prospect do you have the highest hopes for that is not in the NHL right now? Oh, sorry, not in the NHL or AHL right now. So we're talking about like a junior level prospect.
This is making me go back to my old days. Is he still a property of ours? My first answer was going to be Lavoie, but then you said no AHL. So I guess Petrov, because I've seen the most of him. Matej Petrov.
Matvei Petrov. Yeah,
Matvei Petrov.
he's having a great season.
Sorry, I'm not very
OHL,
good
30
with
goals,
prospects.
42 assists, 72 points in 48 games. Rick, do you have a prospect that you're kind of keeping an eye on?
Well, I think there's like 3 that aren't right now. So I'll just take the second one and I'll go with Carter Savoy.
Yep.
He's doing nice little things over in college right now. He's been doing it for 2 seasons now.
Yep.
Snuck him at pick 100, I think it was, Tyler.
Pick 100 of the 2020 draft.
Yeah, so I think that's just another one of these little later round picks that are going to really pay off for us.
30 games played with the University of Denver. He's got 18 goals and 18 assists for 36 points. Tyler Remchuk, you got a prospect that you are keeping an eye on.
Yeah, Dauber Hockey does the NHL equivalency calculator. So I'm plugging in Savoy's points. This year alone, he had an NHL equivalency of a 43-point NHL campaign over 82 games.
Who's the other? I saw that tweet the other day. Who's the first one? There was somebody.
Tulio, isn't it?
No, there was a name I didn't recognize.
Yeah, there's another Oilers prospect that is
from the same draft with an NHL that was higher than everybody else.
And it's like it's the highest out of the entire draft.
Yeah, they were like, we could have like 4 picks.
So the Oilers took Holloway first that year. Savoy, Tulio, Maxime Berzakin or whatever.
I think it's Tulio.
No, it's Berzakin.
Oh, okay.
Berzakin this year. No, that wouldn't be it. He only has 2 points in the KHL.
Whoa.
Tulio, I know, is having just a monster.
I think it might be Tulio that they were referencing.
Tulio this year with Oshawa has 69 points in 49 games, which is an NHLE of
400 points.
69 points in 49 games, 37-point NHLE. Maybe it wasn't him then. I know what tweet we're talking about too.
We're all just trying to.
It was not a North American style name.
Okay. Either way, Savoy's my answer. I mean, this guy, 18 goals in 30 games at the University of Denver this year. I watched him a lot back in the AJHL as well. He knows how to just absolutely rip the puck. This guy finished top 10 in points in college this year. And if you go by goals as well, he finished in a tie for 6th. You look at some of the guys he's around too. Like, I mean, he had more goals than Matty Beniers this season. Matty Beniers went 2nd overall to Seattle last season. Savoy's the answer. I think I wouldn't be
got the boots to get it done?
I think, no, I wouldn't say he has the boots to get it done, but he knows how to get to the right areas to score. He's got that natural goal scoring ability. And that's what's exciting about him, because you think about what the Oilers could probably use in a couple of years, and it's that.
My answer, just to be a little bit different, I was going to say Matvei Petrov as well. I'm going to go with our boy, Xavier Bourgault. I know the Q is a high scoring league, generally speaking, but 22 goals in 25 games. I like that.
I thought you were going to go Bogdan Yakimov.
Of course, there's time, baby.
I believe he's still within our 50 contracts.
Alexei Mikhanov is going to come over here and he's going to shine. So I'm going to say Xavier Bourgault. I'm excited to see what he does. Tyler, I'm starting down with you. Question number 2, ask the idiots. What would you think about regular season games being worth 3 points, where the regulation win gets you 3, win an OT you get 2, the loser gets 1? Seems like it would take away some of the power of the loser point.
Yeah, I don't know why the NHL doesn't do it. I know there's a lot of talk. They're like, oh, it's too complicated. And it's like, no, it's really not. It's like, is that not what European soccer uses, right? Like a 3-2-1 system?
Yeah, something
or whatever.
They have it. It's 3 for a win, 2 for a win, I think, in
one for a draw.
Yeah, one for draw for both teams.
3-1-0.
Either way, yeah. Like the NHL needs to get on this 3-2-1 thing. It's ridiculous how a team like Anaheim, 9 OT losses. Even go back to last year with Montreal and how they made the playoffs. Like that was terrible. The fact that they got in and they went 24, 21, and 11. They lost way more games than they won.
What did they do in the playoffs though?
They went all the way to the cup final.
Yeah.
Which is why it's a joke. Like
No,
they barely qualified.
but
they shouldn't have gotten in.
Yeah, but I would have said it's a joke if they made it and got like swept in the first round in 4. You know, at least they got there and then they went all the way.
And they swept some teams along the way too.
Yeah.
Look at the comparison between Washington and Columbus in the Eastern Conference. Columbus has 28 wins in 54 games. Washington has 29 wins in 56 games. And Columbus is 10 points back of them because Washington has 9 OT losses.
Okay, but devil's advocate, the very meaning of getting the loser point is that you had your
game. So I can play that, Jeff.
Yes. And so that you had a game that was good enough to be tied for the entire game.
Yep.
Regulation, 60 minutes.
So why is it a bad thing to have a loser point?
Which is why you should go to 3-2-1 because it'll reward teams.
Fair. I was just going to try and track you and there to be mad about it.
It's not a loser point though. Everybody
but it
calls
is in the
a
sense that
loser
you
point.
lost.
Yeah, but you didn't get the point after the loss. You got the point after the end of 60 minutes.
Yeah. But
It's like the whole rouge. It's like kicking the ball. It's like kicking the ball, missing the field goal, but it goes through the end zone. So your point. You didn't get they kneel it in the end zone.
Yeah.
You did not get a point for missing. They got dinged for not running the ball out. It's all how you look at it.
yeah, that's fair. But
I still call it a loser
But
point.
it's got. Would you be against 3-2-1?
I'm trying to figure it out as a purist. I don't like the change. So I'm against change being an old man. But when you bring up examples like that with the scoreboards and everything like that, it's tough to argue it.
what about if you lose in regulation, you lose a single point?
So
No losing points.
if you were to go to the 3-2-1 system,
That's like
we got more Yaremchuk math
I
coming up
was going
here.
to try and while you do that, I was like, Avery keeps talking about abolishing offside.
For hockey?
Yeah.
He just wants free flow and offense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm assuming
Cherry
he's going
picking,
to,
baby.
yeah, I assume he's going to say there's probably very little of that going on, but it'll eliminate the Fogle offside for the Connor goal. It was relatively meaningless.
You know what this it's all Matt Duchene's fault.
I know
really
it
at
is.
the end
No,
of the
technically
day.
it's that stupid linesman who called it.
Yes. Matt Duchene was 5 feet offside.
At
And somehow that
least.
goal still counted.
At the end of the day, it's really our fault for expecting other humans. We put some stripes on them,
expect
and we
very little
expect
of that.
them to be able to monitor 5 guys going across the
They
line
can't even drop
simultaneously.
the puck at one try.
I totally agree. We need robots. That's my answer. We need AI and robots.
Back to the question though, Dan.
Well,
Would
I hope Tyler's doing some math over here. Which
Yeah,
is-
No, I can still answer.
3, 2, 1.
he needs
Dan,
another
what do you
piece of paper right away. He said,
Yep.
I
running
think
out of
that
space.
I think that there has to be a better solution. I'm with Rick on the sense that you're going to have teams that miss the playoffs with 101 points or something silly like that, right? Like it could happen in a mark where you're adding that many points, but so that bothers me from a purist standpoint, but we can't continue on the way that we have. And that's not a reason to not fix your game or not change the point system. So, and now I'm going to let Tyler Yaremchuk take it away with some math.
I just want to answer before you get to your math.
yeah.
I would say yes to the 3 points for a regulation win, or just give people points for a tie again.
I don't want ties though. You need a winner.
what about, okay.
Especially in the betting world. You need a winner.
Oh, you know what? The first thing I do is
Well,
I
then
make
play,
a
then we're done.
10-minute overtime first.
Yeah, I would take that out. I would just
10
get
minute
rid of the
3-on-3.
shootout. 10-minute 3-on-3.
You can go endless 3-on-3 for all I
Continuous
care.
3-on-3 because the risk there is so minute compared to a regular season, like to the 5-on-5 game, right? Because that causes your team to have to be deeper. That's all it is.
Dude,
Well,
did
would
you
love
imagine
to
going
see-
deep enough? All of a sudden,
That's
That's what I mean. That's what I would love to see, a 10-minute 3-on-3 where all of a sudden you're like, fucking Dustin Shore's out there, or Devin Shore's out there. What's going on? Dustin Shore.
Or an Edmonton puts out a McDavid 4 times and then they get exposed on the 4th time. That's the gamble that you
should have called that timeout.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I
Shout out to Woody for using his timeouts, though, by the way.
Tyler is still doing math, by the way.
fucked up.
I was like, man, how long do we have to talk about this for?
One sec. I'm almost
Nicely
there.
done, though.
Tyler.
Your blind picks at the
Okay.
button today have been bang on.
What do you think of my
hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
The other day I had the idea of if a goal scoring chance, an obvious goal scoring chance gets taken away, whether it's a breakaway or not, you get a penalty shot.
No.
Like a basketball idea, right? Like
No.
a free throw versus a penalty shot kind of idea. And then you get rid of the damn shootout because then it's not necessary anymore.
No, you have way too many. No, because
Penalty shots are fun.
For whom? Have you watched them?
I think it's
Does
exciting
your heart
enough.
not stop the whole time? Do you not
bit.
blink not the whole time?
Yes.
The
What part of that is fun?
But see, that's the
When
thing.
you win.
People like the shootout. People say that they like the shootout. I haven't met many
But
people.
wouldn't that mean like Duncan Keith's hook last night would have turned
Yes.
into a shootout?
Yes.
Oh, good Lord. That should
no,
not
a penalty
be
shot. A single penalty
Whatever.
shot.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean. Penalty
So
shot.
All right, Tyler.
if
God,
they
God,
went to
no.
a 3-2-1 system, and I may be wrong, I did the math twice. So you can see one column for anyone watching on YouTube. One column is scratched out. Right now, the standings are Calgary 71 points, LA 65, Edmonton, Vegas 64. If they went 3-2-1, it would be Calgary 99, LA and Edmonton tied at 89, Vegas at 88. I think.
So not that much different, but what I said is true, that somebody from the playoffs would miss with like 101.
That means Calgary just running away with more.
I say do it because then you have old men like Rick trying to figure out the math. on setting records
Magic
that with a 180 point season.
Yeah, I was going to say the young guy over here couldn't get it done.
Well, and we have a hard enough time trying to figure out magic numbers in this office. Could you imagine trying to figure
Wait
that
till
out?
we get to magic number season. Good Lord.
What is the Oilers' magic number right now?
They just need to win all 26.
27.
Win all of them.
Guaranteed playoffs that way.
I think they were saying, I think Reed was saying it was like 95 points is kind of like safe zone.
So if you need to get to 95, let's say 96 gets you in, the Oilers would need to pick up 32 points down the stretch here. So
That's, what,
18
16
wins.
16 wins out of your final.
Man, we're great at math.
16 wins out of your final 27. So you got to go 16-13. Wait, no, 16 and 11.
Yeah, you're going to need, they're going to end up closer to 20 wins in this. So it's not going to, we're going to look back and go, okay.
What's the schedule like? Have you looked at the rest of the schedule?
Well, so
next week is not fun.
Every second day.
It kind of goes like that though, where it's like not fun. So you get Montreal Saturday, and then next week
Gotta win Montreal.
Calgary, Washington, Tampa. Washington's in the shitter. They haven't.
Boys get fired up for Calgary, to be fair.
We just saw with it. Yeah, like let's go.
So you get Calgary, Washington, Tampa. You're on a 5-game homestand starting in Washington as well.
These.
Week after, on home ice, Detroit, Buffalo, Jersey.
You have you need all three of those again.
You need to go 4-1 on that homestand.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And then the week after, you go Colorado, Dallas, back-to-back on the road. Then
That's
San Jose at home, then out to Calgary again on a Saturday night. That's a tough stretch. But then the week after, you get Arizona at home. You get LA at home. Massive game. St. Louis at home.
Look, we've been doing very well against our own division.
We have, and that's saving us. Probably part of the reason why the Oilers still are in the mix and still have a shot at second in the division is because they've dominated the Pacific.
Question number 3, ask the idiots. Rick, I'm starting with you because this one's going to hurt you.
Okay. Oh, dear God.
It's a Flames-Leafs Stanley Cup final. Is hockey even a thing anymore?
Nope.
Has hell frozen over? What do you do as a hockey fan?
I bet on the Leafs to win.
I was going to say 7 games. That's probably what, 14, 15, 16, 17 days. I think a nice European road trip at that time would be okay.
Yeah, get down to Mexico for a little.
Yeah, 17 days in Mexico might be a little bit much.
Yeah, good point.
I may have to go, backpacking somewhere.
Yeah, nice road trip.
Yeah.
Maybe get a train pass.
Something like that. Oh, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe I'll have to go find something to do.
Tyler, you got a Leafs Flames
Join
Stanley
boot camp
Cup
somewhere.
final. What's the play?
Yeah, I mean, just I'd watch it still. I'd probably just bet on it a lot. I think I'd be rooting for the Leafs though.
Would you?
Yeah. Like the media coverage is already going to be nauseating.
Yeah.
Because it's the Leafs in the Cup final. Whether they win or lose, the coverage is going to be insane. So just don't let Calgary win.
Dan.
I have a musical answer for you, Bag Milk.
Go ahead.
It's from one of my favorite shows.
Mm-hmm.
It goes, to stop these monsters, 1, 2, 3. Here's a fresh new way that's trouble-free. It's got the Paul Anka's guarantee. Just don't look. Just don't look. I would not watch that for a second. I think some people were singing along with me.
So tough for you guys.
I don't think I could.
Yeah, but your job requires you to be at
My
least
job is
in
to
depth.
cover the Oilers.
Yeah, you guys.
I would have to watch for fights. So
yeah,
you'd have to.
They would fight in a Stanley Cup.
I probably wouldn't watch the games.
Just check the box score afterwards.
Yeah, I'd be aware of what's happening, but I wouldn't watch the games. It would hurt too much.
It'd be a good series.
It would be a good series, but that's why, again, I don't want to watch it.
Tyler, you're a hockey fan first, right?
Everything would be terrible.
Are you an Oilers fan?
That one might push him.
No, I don't know.
That one would test him.
Everybody else, I think, here considers themselves an Oilers fan
just
first.
considering the fact like your Twitter would be like not safe for anyone's mental health. Like the amount of people from both sides would be absolutely tearing you apart.
There would be
I
a
just
civil war.
that's a 2-week period that you stay away from Twitter. The only thing going out on Bag Milk's account is the automated tweets that go out when my articles post.
You remember when, was it 06 when the boys out there were like in the Philippines?
Yeah.
And they came, that would be me. I'd be heading the hell out of here. I'd be gone for
and I
2
think
weeks, no
I can do
problem.
my job from the road.
Yeah, it's fine.
Maybe that's when I rent a camper van and I drive up to the Yukon or something and just me and the little homie, me and Frank, not Sarah Valley. We just drive and cruise.
Sarah Valley might want to come too. You already said he can't come?
Yeah, I mean, actually, you know what? Me and Frank, could you imagine me and Frank on a road trip up to the
Frank
Yukon?
and Frank?
Yeah.
Me and 2 Franks?
Yeah.
Oh.
Bag milk between 2
Franks.
Franks?
That's a show.
That'd be a great one, yeah.
I'm going to pitch that to him as soon as I get off this podcast.
Live broadcast from the dashboard. Frank in one seat, Frank in the other seat.
You should probably just text him while you're on.
Okay. Question number 4. Dan, I'm going to start with you. You're right beside me. Is this the most pressure to make the playoffs that you felt as an Oilers fan with 20% of the season left to go? 15, something like that?
Most pressure? No. This team, I think, especially in McDavid's years, has had probably even more pressure than it has now. But I think that I don't know. It's a tough question because it is like, this is the best group of, as all of my co-hosts are on their phone at the exact same time, probably talking about my answer. Yeah. But it's just, I don't know. Like it doesn't feel that much pressure. I don't know.
I understand where you're coming from, and I'm a yes and a no type of thing. Is one, when you really look at it, I can see where you're coming from. Anybody want to say that? But two, I have this stupid expectation every year that we're going to go, that we're going to be in the playoffs. Like, regardless of who's on the team and whatever, I always expect almost the same thing. But I don't feel that right now. Like, I don't feel nervous right now. It was like playing the Philly game. We were giving up all sorts of shots all over the place, but never once did I feel like I was worried about the goaltending or I was worried about winning that game. It was what it was, and I just assumed we were going to win.
Tyler?
Yeah, I am. Just because, Vegas is in the mix right now, and they're a very good hockey team. They're going to get healthy at some point. LA is getting the goaltending. They're going to be hanging around for a little bit here. And then you go to the other division, and it's like, yeah, Dallas very well could keep playing good. Who knows what Winnipeg's capable of doing over a 10-game run if they get stupid hot with Connor Hellebuck. And I just kind of look around, and it's going to be a really, really tight playoff race. And there are no guarantees that the Oilers will be the better team out of this group. If I had to put money on it, I would say they are. I think they're better than LA. I think, Edmonton's going to slowly start to get healthy just as well as Vegas could. Vegas's goaltending could be a question mark, according to Dr. Frank Saravalli.
Love that.
Doctor.
So
have you not seen that clip?
No, I have not.
So
good.
Robin Lehner got asked in a post-game press conference if he's taking extra care of his body with the reports that he's injured. Frank Saravalli's reported he has torn labrum.
Yeah.
And in the press conference, Robin Lehner just goes, I don't know, go ask my doctor, Frank Saravalli. And then he follows it up 2 minutes later and was like, Frank Saravalli would know he's my doctor. Yeah, it's pretty good. But anyways, there's no guarantees with the Oilers.
There's pissy answers coming from all 32 teams.
We're all pissy.
But yeah, there's no guarantees. And I worry about, one, I feel sick having to go through an entire offseason of talking about this team after they missed the playoffs. How do you even begin to drum up hope at that point? Because they have no money to spend in the offseason. I know hope will never die, Rick. But they have no money to spend in the offseason. This is clearly the best team Ken Holland was capable of putting together, considering how much money he had last offseason. And if this team misses the playoffs, how do you remain optimistic heading into next year? You just can't. They need to make the playoffs this year and show that they're good enough.
You haven't met one, have you?
I'd like to change my answer. Tyler has made me super depressed about my life. I think this is the worst season ever.
I'm going to say that I'm with Tyler in the sense that this is the most pressure I've felt just as a fan for the team to make the playoffs, because we're talking about the 7th year of Connor McDavid's career.
But don't you feel like the odds of us making the playoffs right now are higher, and therefore it kind of like takes away some of that?
Like, that doesn't know. The stress is just there. It's just like, I believe they'll get the job done. We've got the best 2 players on the planet, but ultimately we're still on the bubble right now in year 7, and that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
When I'm reminded of that fact, that's when it gets really exasperating.
But I think you were nervous back when Hemsky had to score that goal against Vancouver back in 06.
But I guess the question too was at this point in the season, right? The 20% mark.
And I still think that we are a team outside of that 2-12 run or whatever that is.
The folks at moneypuck.com, who are pretty good at this stuff.
They got us at?
They got the Oilers at 76.4%.
That's my lucky number.
Which it's actually interesting that they have the Oilers at 76.4%.
76.6.
Sorry, 76.6%. That's lower than they have LA at 91 and Vegas at 80. So they have Edmonton. I assume that means Edmonton's getting one of the 2 wildcard spots.
How many teams in the West here are over 50%?
Colorado, Calgary, Mini, St. Louis, LA, Vegas, Edmonton is 7th. And then Dallas, Nashville are right behind them.
So we've got what?
So there's 8 teams. Yeah, 8 teams over, and then so Dallas is 64, And then Nashville's 47. So there's a gap right there.
They factor in multiple things, though. It's not just
Strength
one
of schedule.
Well, I just wanted to see if there's like 11 Western teams.
Yeah, everybody's making the show.
Over 50%. I was like, wait a second.
But that's also kind of, I think when you look at that list, you say that the ones that are positive are the ones that are the buyers, and then sellers are below, right? That's kind of giving you that general idea.
Their most likely landing spot for the Oilers is third in the Pacific. So at that point, you'd be playing either Vegas or LA. I'd be perfectly okay playing LA. Bring me on. LA.
I don't even pay attention to any of that shit. Just get in.
Yeah, get into the dance, baby.
Get in.
No one thought the Habs were going to beat the Leafs last year.
Nobody thought the Oilers were going to beat the Red Wings in 2006 in the first round, and I was there when it happened.
This is going to hurt, but nobody thought the Jets were going to beat the Oilers last year.
Yeah, myself specifically. There was a tweet that I did from the Oilers Nation account that did not age well.
Maybe being underdogs would be good for this Oilers team.
2006, baby, 2006. What a summer that was.
It was. Last question. Ask the idiots for our friends at busterspizza.ca. Tyler, would you rather lose a baby toe or an eyebrow?
Baby toe.
You're only allowed to have one eyebrow, by the way.
Like it'll never grow back?
That's right.
Yeah, baby toe all the way. I care way too much about my looks.
Are you crazy?
What?
We're talking about an appendage versus hair.
Yeah, but you
can never have one eyebrow.
I would get rid of both of them to make it even.
It's not.
That's a tough look to rock.
I'm not losing a toe.
What toe did Waz lose?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think he lost his baby toe.
He still plays
That's
soccer
balance.
stuff. He's fine.
It's balance within shoes.
Ask him.
Yeah, we got Waz.
You lost your baby toe? Are you fine?
Waz, come in here for a sec, real quick. Waz, we need you real quick.
On the producer.
So we've got Waz coming in. He can answer this question from a position of
Tyler
strength.
has this.
We'll let the rest of the staff know afterwards. They're all looking at us like, what just happened?
So Waz, the question for Ask the Idiots this week is, would you rather lose a baby toe or never be able to grow one of your eyebrows?
So you have to roll one eyebrow.
So like basically the question for you is you could get your baby toe back, but it costs you an eyebrow.
Probably lose my baby toe.
Oh my God. Right?
Wow.
You can learn. You function. You're a fucking adult. You pay bills.
I just finished a soccer season.
This is my final episode of Oilers Nation Radio.
There you go. Waz's answer is...
Just let me know.
Thanks, Waz.
Waz, when you stand up without shoes on, do you find it harder to stand?
Sorry, what was the question again?
When you stand up without shoes on, do you find it harder to stand?
No, not really. I got used to it.
You just kind of have learned to balance?
At first I had balance issues, but now I'm good.
See, I don't even want those though, Waz. I admire you for what you went through. I admire you so much that I'm going with the eyebrow.
Jesus Christ.
I'm going to tape my big toe over the next toe and see what happens.
There you go.
Let's do it.
I
mean, if you lose,
like I'm feeling right now, and I'm like, I'm also, the big toe is a something.
Like
but
Waz
the little
just said,
toe, I don't think that thing's doing much.
Waz just finished a soccer season.
Yeah.
He has got 2 eyebrows. I think that's good living.
Yeah, I think so.
Shoes equalize that one for sure.
So,
man, let us know if I'm wrong. I want to hear.
So Dan,
you just were told.
So Dan's going. Dan, by the way, is going no eyebrows.
I can't. Yeah, I would shave both just to keep it unilateral.
But that's a tough look to have, though. No eyebrows.
Yeah, that's.
How do you show expression,
man?
Are we committed to our bits on this show? Okay, yes. You guys cut off your toe, and I'll shave my eyebrow.
I told you, I'm just going to tape it up.
Tyler wants to get back on.
Thank you, Waz. That was very nice. You can tell everybody else what nonsense we're answering in here.
This is
Rick, you're up next. Would you rather lose a toe or be unable to grow one of your eyebrows?
Take the toe.
What is going on?
It's a toe. It's a little toe, man. I don't think it does much.
I've got thick eyebrows too, so I'm going to go also with the toe. I would just look absurd with one eyebrow.
Your little toe is the William Lageson of your toes. Wave it.
What is your eyebrow then?
And it's part of my vibe.
That is part of your vibe.
Yeah, man.
Keep sweat out of your eyes.
Yeah,
man.
Can you imagine, Dan? Hot summer day.
Yes.
You're driving through the city.
Wearing shorts.
Yeah, it's hot. You're sweating. All of a sudden you're going and you're like, I got to make a left turn. Just as you do, a bead of sweat falls into your eye. You can't see. You swerve. You hit a dog.
Alternative here. You go to push the brake pedal and your toe that is missing, it slips and it misses the pedal and you run into something.
You don't drive in bare feet.
You don't drive barefoot?
I think my scenario is more realistic.
Who's pushing their pedals with the outside of their foot?
Your foot slipped off. Your foot slipped off, and
my
your
foot
toe
slips
isn't
off
there
anyway.
to catch it.
Sometimes
that's an aggressive kick if you're slipping off like that.
Anyways, so Dan would rather kill a dog than lose his toe.
That's fair.
Yep, agreed.
This is turned out to be a hell of a question.
Yep.
There you go. I also want to know from you, if you're listening to this, are you losing one baby toe You can even pick which foot.
Yeah, it
Or
could be your left.
are you unable to grow one of your eyebrows?
I think, you know what we should do from now on? Bag Milk, I know you've been doing a randomizer thing, but I think we should do a vote and we should give it to the person that asked the most entertaining question.
All right, we can do that this today.
Just because I think we
got
should
your vote?
encourage
This
people to
guy
give
wins.
us that kind of stuff.
Who's got your vote?
I like the toe.
The
The toe is good, and I think we should encourage people to get a little bit more creative with their questions.
Although I do like nerdy Oilers
Yeah,
questions
those
too.
are
So
good too.
good mix.
I will
Like
also,
last week, that one about if you could ask anyone in the organization one question, that was a great question.
Yeah, that was.
Well, I'm also going to vote for the toe then. So shout out to Scott. Your question.
It won't always go
how's it
down
be?
like that.
Hey, you think he's
It
got all his
won't
toes?
Yeah.
Always go down.
Or
Well,
his-
that's an
or his
interesting
eyebrows?
question. That's an interesting question.
You guys
I want to know if someone's out there without an eyebrow is like, no, honestly, I'd rather do this than the toe.
Yeah. I just think
I would like them,
one
and
eyebrow
we'll
or-
invite them to sit here and debate was.
explain yourself.
Yeah, sit here and debate was. You
I
got
just think having one eyebrow is a tough look.
It's a real tough look.
be a segment sponsored by Buster Pizza. Ask the idiot.
Idiot. All right.
Dan, I can see you have no eyebrows though.
Yeah.
You have no expression though in your
I am
eyebrowless
very
face.
expressionless.
Yeah, you have, and you don't have like super thick eyebrows either.
My ball cap comes down, usually covers
Yeah,
them.
it covers them.
I can see it. Or you can
Thanks,
just
Milk.
draw
What
it.
about those?
What about those
Yeah,
wedding
it's not gonna be
photos?
I've done, well, I mean, you saw my wedding photos.
That's what I mean. But now you'd be like,
Oh,
you'd have 10 toes, but now you'd only have one
I wore
eyebrow.
a
Yeah.
vest and a like a mailman's cap after my wedding.
I think
Yeah, you're good.
the opportunity to draw on cool eyebrows would be nice.
Yeah.
I think that's got illegal. I don't think that's part of the question. I think it's probably like if you had to ask Scott, Scott's like, no.
Wait,
that
you're
was
telling me
not-
I can't draw a toe on my foot, Rick?
You can draw it on all you want. It's not gonna help you. It's not gonna do anything for you.
I want a
Where are you gonna
fake
draw
toe.
it, by the way?
I want a fake toe.
Just make a little
Let's
one out
tape it
of paper mache.
All right.
For our friends at Cornerstone Insurance, I moved them down to Hot Cold Performers. For 90 years and 4 generations, our friend at Cornerstone Insurance have got all the insurance products you could ever hope for in terms of covering your life. Whether we're talking about auto, residential, commercial, life insurance, they've got it all for you. CornerstoneINS.ca. Left-hand side of the screen, there's a button that says Citizens of the Nation. Click on that, baby. Get yourself a discount. Tyler,
Yep.
get your buttons ready.
They're ready.
Starting off with our Cornerstone Insurance Cold Performers of the Week. Finishing off with a little bit of negatives, a little bit of positives. Tyler, you're at your own board.
Yep.
Your Cornerstone Cold Performer of the Week.
The collective group of people who own Major League Baseball teams. If you don't like the sport and you don't want to see it happen, sell your teams to people who do. Jeff Passan, ESPN national reporter, put it beautifully. If you were to take the current group of MLB players and replace them with the next best, like 1,500 athletes or baseball players in the world,
Yikes.
the product would suffer. If you replace the current 30 owners with 30 random business people, the product would get better.
Yep.
MLB owners, you get my cold performer.
You're as cold as ice.
Real quick, what's going on with baseball?
Not a lot.
Nothing.
They are MLB has locked out the players.
Yeah.
They locked them out for a while now. They negotiated, apparently got real close to a deal, but then the owner said, oh no, the players, they changed their tune and we couldn't get a deal done. So the first 2 series of the seasons, like 5-6 games, have been canceled in baseball. And
So that takes us to what? Like in terms of months? Are
like
we
a
into May?
weekend, a weekend.
Okay.
First week of the season's basically been wiped off and they're not really talking much right now. So it's not looking good.
I
Owners
hate
are
that
scummy.
shit where they're just like, oh, we're not going to talk as if they don't both want to play.
But here's the thing. I don't think the owners give a shit.
Nope.
I think they're so
Maybe.
focused on keeping the pay down for players that they will gladly sacrifice a year because they have the bullet of expansion.
Which is the amazing considering some of the deals that just got handed out in baseball free agency.
But that's the part the players are unhappy about, right? Is you got this upper echelon of guys making 30, 40 mil a year and there's a small group and everyone else just makes
Suffers.
pennies. You don't get to actually earn professional athlete good money until you're like 28 years old. It's nuts.
What's a bench player make in MLB? Like just average.
They have the lowest minimum salary of all 4 sports.
Well,
What is
Dude,
and it
what's-
depends on what league you're in. too.
Yeah.
what's Vladdy gonna make this year?
Vladdy Guerrero will make less than William Lagesson
Yeah. That's the type
Get
of stuff.
out.
That's the type of stuff they're arguing about.
Get out.
because
Yeah.
there's no room for like bonuses and shit either. Like an entry level player in the NHL can get bonuses to click, 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 3
Yeah,
mil, right?
Games played, all that shit. Yeah.
There's not that. Vladdy Guerrero and Bo Bichette make like $550K.
Well, and baseball. And now I know Vladdy's a
know.
different.
Fuck out of here.
I know how much is Rogers, how much is MLB making off those 2 guys?
Well, and I know Vladdy's a different case just because he is a superstar and he's still in his entry level. But like MLB is the key is the king of keeping guys down to keep their contract numbers normal, like holding them back until August.
So MLB, the owners, one of their proposals was, all right, you're mad about us suppressing service time and keeping star players in the minors that they can't earn big contracts for another year. They go, whoever wins rookie of the year, they can get more money. And it's like, so you're like admitting you're openly keeping guys down to save, and you're going to give two of the players. One player in each league. Like, it's a fucking joke.
Sweet. Rick, you're next up. Cornerstone cold performer of the week.
This is going to go back to last weekend a bit, but it's going to go to everybody who wears the stripes from the game where there was 2 goals that were like offside. Both had to be challenged to get the proper call. And I think there's a third time there. Yep. Not to mention there was the Connor getting hooked. The arm went up. Then Connor ate his stick and the ref changed his call. And there's no recourse for this. I know they probably will never find out, but there's got to be penalties. There's got to be like, if you miss something, that's fine. But it's something like Connor's thing where there was a call and then you like drop that call and made a different call. That's a penalty on that referee. And I don't know how you police it, but it's everybody in the stripes and their little union too.
Have you ever fought before? Yeah. You have? Yeah. You were probably beat up in the bus stop most of the time. I think so.
Isn't that what was he? Who was that last night yelling from the? No. Who was the player?
Cooper.
Maroon. The player that got kicked out for like yelling at the ref. I think he said he wants to kill him.
I think it was Patty Maroon.
Yeah, it wasn't Maroon or somebody else though.
Oh, fuck, I don't know that.
There was that other dude from Ottawa that really started screaming out too. I posted on Daily Faceoff last night. It made me laugh.
Austin Watson.
Yeah, it was Austin Watson. That's who it was.
He was like, mad at Radko Gudas.
Dude, I read somewhere that he was rallying at the ref.
All I know is he got a couple of quarters in the swear jar for that one.
There was, you might be right. Actually, now that I think about it, looking at that scrum, the refs were weird in that game. If you watch on hockeyfights.com, the Lomberg fight too, they like climbed on top of Lomberg and like cradled him in the middle of the fight between him and Josh Brown.
I bet he felt safe.
Josh Brown.
Wow, shout out to Noopsy for
I said that yesterday.
In the NHL.
There's only ever been one Josh Brown in the NHL, and I know like 6 Josh Browns myself. It's crazy.
Amazing. He played professional.
I went to high school with a Josh Brown too.
There you go. Wow. And there's only ever been one in the NHL's history. Josh Brown.
Weird. Nation Dan, your Cornerstone Insurance cold performer of the week.
This feels like it's unprovoked, but it's also, I think, just a good reminder for Oilers organization in the offseason. Mike Babcock is going to get my cold performer of the week this week because his Saskatchewan Huskies, who were favored in their matchup, lost in game 3 of their best of 3 series to be eliminated, and they blew a lead with 13 minutes left to go in the third. So Mike Babcock, you continue to not surprise hockey fans, and I do not want you anywhere near my team. So you're my cold performer of the week.
Are you thrilled? I'm not.
If you're wondering if Mike Babcock has changed his ways since going to U Sports, I've heard some stories. No, he has not. Also, I'll be calling the team that beat the Huskies, the University of Calgary Dinos. They're at Claire Drake Arena tonight and Saturday. So I'll be calling those games with Dusty.
Nice. We didn't even plan that, Tyler.
There you go.
Works out. I'm just going to keep mine tight. My Cornerstone cold performer of the week is just the Oilers special teams. I mean, the power play, we talked about it at length earlier, really disjointed right now. I know they scored last night, but they're not the same. They're not the same. Earlier in the season, if you remember, Tyler was like, they could be a 40% team.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like forever ago.
Yep.
And for that, the Oilers special teams, PK, PP, both get my Cornerstone cold performer of the week.
That's a joke. That's an absolute joke is what it is.
Just some numbers on that because I have them off the top of my head. Through 2 months of the season, the Oilers were first in the NHL and were clear of second place in the league by over 8%. The Oilers were 37.7%. From December 1 onwards, they're 22nd in the league at 19%, almost half.
Saving it for the playoffs.
Rough. Dan, you're up first. Let's end off the podcast on a positive note. Your Cornerstone hot performer of the week.
I struggled to find a good one this week, but I found a show on Amazon and it's called Last One Laughing Canada.
Oh, I saw that. That's been
if you have a chance to pick that up, it is just so good. It's such good Canadian content. I'm sorry for a cheesy hot performer of the week.
Support Canadian
Last One Laughing Canada. You get my hot performer of the week.
It's getting hot in here.
Tyler, you're up next. Your Cornerstone hot performer of the week.
I'm going to go back to the roots of this segment and give it to my boy, Zach Hyman. He went on a nice run there, 5-6 games in a row where he found the back of the net. And on that Leon Draisaitl goal, he didn't show up on the score sheet, but his screen in front was beautiful. Mwah, chef's kiss on that screen. Goal doesn't happen without it. Zach Hyman, you're going to the right areas. You're creating cycles. You're hard to knock off the puck. You forecheck hard. go to the net. I like all of those things. So you get my hot performer of the week.
This is why I'm hot. I'm hot because I'm fly. You ain't because you not.
I like that.
Can we just real quick, I'm going to digress here for a sec. If you're picking a goal song, which is some of the NHL teams are doing, I think Buffalo did that, right?
And San Jose, I think.
What song are you picking? Because Mims, this is why I'm hot. This is my pick.
Because I'm fly. You ain't because you
If
not.
you score and this comes on, everybody's having a good time.
Yeah, that'd be good. That's an unfair question to ask. Like
Right
off
now.
the top of your head,
Yeah.
you need. There's no way those guys are like just
think about
picking
it.
one.
Come back for next week.
You're sitting there and thinking about it for a while.
Well, then next week I'm going to put this on the agenda, or after we finish off hot and cold performers, I want an answer from everybody. Rick, you're up next.
I got two. You know what? I'm gonna go locally here, and it goes out to the Edmonton Elks. And how do you say his last name? Victor Cui. Yeah,
Great.
What he's done so far for that organization is kind of elevated back to where it was when I was a kid growing up. It was just kind of like the best of the best. Everything he's done so far, the unveiling of that helmet. The helmet itself, the logo, and everything involved right now. I'm a big fan of what's going on right now. It brings back that pride in the city, and I can't wait for the CFL season to get started here.
Put some respect on my name.
Are they getting rid of the antlers?
They did get rid of the antler helmet.
I like the antlers.
No, I hear there's another helmet out there, and it's got like a antler sort of on the back.
Oh, okay.
I like the antlers. I thought that was a good look.
So did I, but the double E was just you had to get that back.
Yeah, I understand that. My cornerstone hot performer of the week is the Calgary trip I mentioned earlier. It has been over 2 years since we've been down to the Saddle Dome, and I cannot wait to try and figure out how to get up those stairs. It is a hike from the main concourse up to the press level where we sit, and I cannot wait to get up there with a bus full of people. So check out Oilersnation.com. I posted an article yesterday, which was Thursday. Check out Backside Tours as well. That will be right there on the front page for you under the bus trips. Our trip to Calgary at the end of this month, you should be on it. We've already sold out probably about half the bus. I think Jay was telling me this morning. So this thing is going to sell out. Don't wait. Hot performer of the week, our bus trip to Calgary. Anybody have a pick yet for a goal song?
Yeah.
Dan has one.
I sent it to Tyler.
What do you got?
I was going to play it.
Oh, we're going to do this professionally?
You had this. You've thought about
I
this.
have.
Then
This has been a
Nah, just kidding. Roadcaster's not working. Sorry, boys.
It's Bobby Roode's theme song from WWE, and it just goes glorious.
Oh, you love that one.
I do that.
Yeah, you've loved that one for a while.
Yeah,
It's a great track.
it is. Yeah.
yeah, I like that.
If you look at like some old, we did this at Little Brick, I think, Dan,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
we were looking at some of the old entries from just massive ones. That one had some really good entries where everybody was getting into it. Same with Stone Cold with the glass shattering, just like,
That's how they should come out.
That's such a
Stone
good
Cold?
one. It's such a good one to break out during a fight, though. It is. Just sounds so good when you got that glass break and then the guys are just throwing.
The best was LaRock.
Yeah.
Tyler or Rick, you got a potential? I also, honorable mention.
We'll bring one for next week.
An honorable mention for me would be The Rockwilder by Method Man or Redman. That'd be a fucking sweet one. Sweet. Tyler?
No, I don't have one off the
Next
top
week,
of my
I
head.
guess.
That's okay. Next week, we'll figure it out. We will even get it done on the Roadcaster, maybe. Possibly.
People should send us there.
Yeah, and if you want to, I want to know what you would use for a goal song as well. Oilers Nation, ON Radio Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. So with that, we're going to wrap this up. This is episode 182. DoorDash, Oodle Noodle, Cornerstone Insurance, and Buster's Pizza. We say thank you for being a part of this and making this all possible. And most importantly, for you, the listener, for welcoming us into your ear holes every single Friday. I'm Bag Milk for Dan, Rick, and Tyler. ON Radio is out. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Shout out Derek Ryan.
Thanks for listening to Oilers Nation Radio, delivered by DoorDash. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram.